Ready? So today's our topic will be on import wizard versus data loader. Do note that today we are not going to discuss about how to download or install data loader. We are going to just quickly go through what are the difference between each of them and when to use them. So today's agenda will be what is import wizard versus and data loader, differences between import wizard and data loader, notes on importing data, when to use data loader and data import wizard, and few interview questions. So first let's get started with what is import wizard and data loader. The data import wizard tool is built into Salesforce and allows you to easily insert, update and upsert data. So what is insert, update and upsert data? We are going to talk about them shortly. The data loader tool is an external tool that is fully supported by Salesforce, and it allows the same functionality, but also it allows you to delete the data. Also, on the left side, what you are seeing is a data loader tool, whereas on the right side you are seeing is data import wizard. These are just the UIs of them. Once you start data loader, right, you will have few options: insert, update, upsert, delete, hard delete, export and export all. So there are three major functionalities we are going to do within the data loader, isn't it? Even data loader or even data import wizard. First thing is you are going to create a new record, or you are going to update a new record. Whereas in data loader, you can also delete a new existing record, isn't it? So what is insert? Insert is nothing but you are going to create a new record. If you have created records in your Excel, you can import them and create a new record. Whereas update is nothing but you are going to update an existing record. For suppose you want to update a field. For suppose let's consider student app itself. You want to update the teacher field. You can update using this update record, update option. What is upsert? Now this is where what you say we need to pay little attention to. Upsert is nothing but you are going to update the existing record, and also you are going to create a new record. How are you going to do this? You are going to update the existing record using the Salesforce ID. Whereas what records get inserted are those which don't have the existing IDs. And what is delete? Delete is something no, we all know the what you call basic functionality of delete. We can delete a existing record, isn't it? But once you delete a record, it's also it gets saved in your recycle bin. So what if you want to delete few records permanently? That is when hard delete comes in. I'm going to tell you how to enable hard delete in few time, but currently just this is what I'm saying, that hard delete is where once you delete it, it goes to recycle bin. Whereas when you delete from hard delete, it is permanently gone. And what is export and export all? So we spoke right that there might be few records in recycle bin. When you're exporting, you can export the existing records, what we call, which are not deleted. Whereas when you export all, you can also export the records which are within recycle bin also. So that is the difference between export and export all. Export is nothing but you are going to whatever the records you have, whatever you can export into your Excel, so that you can further go and make changes. That is what the export we use export for. This interface you are seeing, right? What it says is choose pre-step, prepare your data for import. You are going to open your Excel. That is where you are going to work on it, and then choose data to import. Which data you want to import, you need to decide, like which field you want to change. So basically, the header is what you call Salesforce is trying to map with. Uh, Salesforce is trying to map with what we call it Excel, isn't it? Now this is where edit field mapping. Now your header and Salesforce object, if it is matching, and that is when the data will get matched, isn't it? Without mapping the field, we cannot really import the data. Like Salesforce will not identify what what item you are trying to import. You can edit field mapping here, but in data loader you can do one thing. You can actually save your field mapping settings. In what format you are going to save and all those we are going to discuss in some time. This is where review and start is where once you review the data, if everything is fine, like you have mapped all the fields properly, then you can start importing. All right, there are few differences between import wizard and data loader. For simple imports of up to 50,000 records, use data import wizard. Whereas for complex imports of any size more than 50,000 records, use data loader. But even data loader has few limitations, like it can import up to 5 million records, 50 lakhs. It supports all custom objects and only few standard objects like account, contacts, leads, and solutions. Whereas it supports all standard and custom objects. It supports schedule export. It does not support schedule export. So even though data loader does not support schedule export, it does support export. You have to do it manually. Now, delete operation is not available, whereas delete operation is available in data loader. We cannot export data. We can export of data of all custom and standard objects, and can import all custom and standard objects except user objects. It does not require installation. It requires installation. We spoke earlier, right? That data loader is not within Salesforce. You need to download and install it so that you can make use of it. While importing data, duplicates can be ignored. While importing data, duplicates cannot be ignored. So what this says is, like, some records you might have which have exactly same data. Those data loader cannot identify those, whereas import wizard can identify them because there are rules, right? Duplicate rules and matching rules. No, there is a reason why I actually added this one. Notes on importing data. While importing, you need to pay attention to few things so that your what you call import does not fail. These are few things that you need to pay attention to. Field accessibility. You can import values into field only if you have read and edit access. User permissions, page layout assignments, and field level security settings determine field access. So you need permissions, and also you need to what you call respect the field level security settings. Like you cannot really import a data into age, right? Age is a field. It's a formula, isn't it? We cannot import data into age. Age is read only. So that you need to respect. Even for I'm talking about student type, okay? And whereas few other fields are there, isn't it? Like course, branch. These are master lookups. You have to give data in them. If you don't give the data, your import will be failed. So before importing data, make sure that you have all the what we call the data with you so that import does not fail. Now, new values for pick list and multiple pick list. If you import a pick list value that does not match an existing pick list value, okay, you are importing a pick list value that does not have existing pick list value. That's fine. For an restricted pick list and for an unrestricted pick list, for a restricted pick list. What is unrestricted and restricted pick list? Like while creating pick list, you might you'll see an option. We can make them restricted and restricted pick list. Like once you prepare a pick list, you can only select within few options. Those are restricted pick lists. Whereas unrestricted pick list is where you can even add a new data, even though that is not part of those options, isn't it? For an unrestricted pick list, the data import wizard uses a value that's in the import file. So whatever data you have given in your Excel, that is what will get imported into unrestricted pick list. For a restricted pick list, the data import wizard uses pick list default value. Remember, even default we can select, isn't it? Like for suppose if you go through a website, the language first option you see is English, even though alphabetical English is not the first option. So for a restricted pick list, you can it will directly select default value if you have given it. Multiple multi-select pick list. To import multiple values into multi-select pick list, separate the values by a semicolon in your import files. Like this is multi-select pick list. Multi-select pick list are where I think in student objects we have prepared, right? For subject, it is a multi-select pick list, isn't it? So we can select more than one options like biology, physics, maths, and all those. So how are you going to separate them? Like biology by maths, and then physics. You have to separate them by a semicolon, not space, not comma, not full stop and all. You can import up to 100 values at a time in a multi-select pick list. And then if you have more than 100 values in your import file for any record, the import wizard leaves the field blank in that record. I think that's self-explanatory. Checkboxes. To import data into checkbox field, use 1 for checked values and 0 for unchecked values. So checkboxes example is, I think fee paid is a checkbox only. I remember fee paid. Yes, fee paid is a checkbox. If you can actually determine like to tick the fee paid data or untick it. So once you give one, it will get checked. Once you give zero, it will be unchecked while importing default values. So I think this for pick list for pick list, multi-select pick list and checkbox fields. If you do not map the field in the import wizard, the data value for the fields, if any, is automatically inserted into the new or updated record. The same what we have discussed about. No? Default values will get selected if you have not selected anything. Only if you have determined it default value. Date or time fields. Ensure that the format of any date or time fields you are importing matches how they display in Salesforce as per your local settings. Yes, and this one is what I too had a what you call confusion regarding this one. While importing date, what was happening was I was giving a underscore like a dash. So my import was failing again and again. That is when I went to Salesforce and checked. We usually use this slashes. So those you need to pay attention to. Like in Salesforce, it starts usually default is what month, date, and then year. So that you need to pay attention to while importing the data and time fields. I mean date and time fields. Of course, you can change this, but even though if you change it, you need to respect the what you have changed. Formula fields before importing data, you need for formula fields cannot accept imported data because they are read-only fields. We spoke, right? We cannot really change read-only fields. Even though if you have entered the what you call a value in your read-only field, I mean let's say age is a read-only field, right? Even though you have prepared a header, a column with age, and you have given different data, you cannot really tell that you cannot really change it because it's a read-only field. Field validation tools. Salesforce runs validation rules and records before they are imported. Uh, you remember validation rules we have prepared, right? Like uh, few rules we can give, like phone number and all those. Phone number has to be 10 digits. Something like validation rules you have to respect while importing the data. Like uh, you cannot import it by not considering validation rules. If you have considered validation rules and everything is proper, then the data will get imported properly. When to use data import wizard and data loader? What is the difference? There are various situations when it comes to working with data where one tool will work better than the another. So which one should you use? Here are some common scenarios where you may need to consider when to use data import wizard versus data loader. For simple or smaller uploads, use data import wizard. We spoke earlier, right? Like data import wizard can import up to 50,000 records, isn't it? That and data import wizard, it's built within Salesforce, so you don't really have to download and install a data loader. But of course, data loader has its own uses. But if there are nothing complex records, then you can go with data import wizard. For mass deleting records, you use the data loader. The data import wizard cannot support the delete operations, isn't it? We spoke earlier. Like it data import wizard only supports insert and update, and I also export schedule export. So you cannot really delete the in data loader. For mass deleting records, it's better you use data loaders. To schedule export, use the data import wizard. Yeah, This is what I was talking. We can schedule our records. So where we can schedule them by month or weekly. We can also keep it as automatic. Like every week, I want to get exported. That way, you can give a scheduled export to work with standard objects such as opportunities or cases. Use the data loader. Now, even though opportunities and cases are standard objects, these are not supported by data import wizard, isn't it? Only few are supported, account cases and all those. But whereas in data loader, you can all the standard objects and custom objects are supported. If you need to find duplicate records in your data, use the data import wizard. Now we have spoken about this earlier. We can actually data import wizard can identify which is your you have some duplicate records, like all the fields are matching, even the name is matching, even what you call marks and all those stuff are matching. So data import wizard can actually identify that, but data loader cannot identify that. Interview questions: how to configure bulk API in so we'll go through few interview questions. How to configure bulk API in data loader. To configure, this is what I was talking, like uh, you hard delete will not be default available for you once you download and install data loader. You need to peak few tweaks your few settings within data loader. So to configure data loader to use the bulk API for inserting, updating, deleting, and hard deleting records, open data loader, go to settings, select the bulk API options, and click OK. Click OK, enter. It will OK, enter. Yeah, your settings will be saved. Now hard delete will be available for you. Even though you have done that, do note that you need to have permissions. Like while going through the classes, Vimlas has showed us, right? Like we need to have permissions to hard delete everything, hard delete records. Like we can create a permission set and then we can assign it to a profile. I mean, a user. Can we do hard delete when we configure data loader to use bulk API? Yes, you can do hard delete once you have configured bulk API. What is batch size in data loader? Now batch size and what you call batch size and how many records can you import, that is different. Batch is your records will be separated into certain number of batches. Okay, in a single insert, update, upsert, or delete operation, records moving to or from Salesforce are processed in increments of the size. The maximum is 200 records. Recommended value between 50 and 100, and then the maximum value is 10,000 if the bulk API option is selected. Okay. Can we bypass the required field in the data loader? No, we cannot bypass the required field in data loader. I was telling it. You need to what we call. We need to respect the uh, required fields and then what we call validation rules while importing the data. So but there is one thing we can bypass. That is within page load, you might have given some field as required. That while importing, it does not really consider it. Like you can bypass that. How to import multi-select pick list values through data loader? By use multi-select. Okay. By using Apex data loader, say inserting or multi-select pick list fields through Apex data loader, multiple values. Okay. This is the same thing we were speaking earlier, right? Like you need to separate the in multi-select pick list. You need to separate each value by semicolon. How can we bypass workflow rules when using the data loader? We cannot bypass the workflow rules. You have to consider workflow rules also while importing data loader. But we can deactivate it, but while importing, but still, like there will be a lot of people who will be working on on records, and there will be on the same objects. So we need to consider that before importing. And we were talking about mapping, right? Mapping the fields. I mean, mapping the objects. So what is the field mapping file format of the data loader? HDL. HDL is nothing but Salesforce data loader. Salesforce DataLoader. This mapping, whichever you have done in DataLoader only, you can actually save those settings. Save the settings in a HDL format. DataLoader and Import wizard supports which file format? The CSV format. We were saying that in Excel when you are working it, and then when you have finished your work, you have to save them in CSV format so that Salesforce supports CSV format basically. CSV is nothing but comma separated values. These are few interview questions that I have included. We like even basic things that we have discussed, right? Like, what is uh, data import wizard or what is data loader? They might ask even those. Even they might ask like what is hard delete, what are those operations, like operations we have discussed, right? Insert, update, upsert, export all, hard delete, those operations also they might ask like, what do they do basically. So thank you, this was my presentation on import wizard versus data loader. If you guys have any questions, quickly we can go through this.
Any questions, sir? Anyone? Okay. I think everyone is good, sir. Thank you for your presentation, sir. It is good actually. Very good.
Thank you, sir.